Should you mod your Nintendo Switch? That's the question everyone wants an answer to. And to that I say, yes. Yes, you should. But why? Well, today I'm going to go over the benefits of modding your Switch, clear up any confusion, and answer some of your questions. And starting off, let's address the main concern most people have. Will Nintendo brick your Switch if you mod it? They can't do that. No. If Nintendo detects your Switch is running custom firmware, they will not remotely brick it or make your console unusable. That said, modding your Switch does put you at risk of getting your console banned. A Nintendo Switch ban means you can no longer access Nintendo servers, so no more playing games online, using the eShop, or downloading firmware and game updates the normal way. By the way, this video is not Switch modding propaganda. I just wanted to make it for people who are already considering modding their Switch but are still nervous to do so. So if that sounds like you, keep watching. After you leave a like, of course. Now, after hearing that your Switch could get banned, you're probably wondering, how does that happen and can you prevent it?
No.
Well, lucky for you, turning on your Switch with custom firmware does not make you instantly get banned. The most common way someone's Switch gets banned is by running Homebrew apps or free games in their sysnand. The sysnand is just your normal Switch, but with custom firmware. So you have access to everything that you had access to before you modded your Switch, but with the custom firmware on top of that. Because of this, Nintendo sees everything you do in your sysnand. So let's say you run a game mod that gives you infinite items in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and hop into an online race. What do you think is gonna happen? You're gonna get banned. That's why it's extremely important to check if a game mod or homebrew app is online safe before you run it in your sysnand. With that said, the best way to prevent your Switch from being banned is using an Emunand. When you follow a Switch modding tutorial, it will most likely show you how to create an Emunand. An Emunand is a clone of your Switch's memory stored on your SD card and has no communication with Nintendo servers. So while you can't play games online or do anything that requires connection to Nintendo servers, whatever you do in your Emunand can't be seen by Nintendo. So running game mods, free games, or any homebrew app in your Emunand will not put you at risk of getting banned. The Emunand takes up 32 gigabytes of space, so you need at least a 64 gigabyte SD card, but the recommended minimum for modding is a 128 gigabyte SD card. But now that you understand the difference between a sysnand and Emunand, the rule of thumb that I like to follow for whether I do something in my sysnand or do it in my Emunand is very simple. Do I want to play online with the app I'm using? If no, use it in my Emunand. Does the app I'm using require access to things I only have on my normal Switch? If no, use it in my Emunand. Well, those are the two main things people are most worried about when modding their Switch. Will Nintendo brick it, and will they get banned? So now that we discussed those, let's go over the cool things that modding your Switch allows you to do. First off, custom themes. This is the main reason I modded my Switch. Just look at this theme. It's sick, and there's thousands to choose from. But that's not all. Another homebrew app I really like is Moonlight. This lets you stream your computer to your Switch and is the app that I use in all my turning this console into this console videos. And my third favorite app is a tie between RetroArch and JKSV. JKSV is a save manager that lets you load saves for all your Switch games. I love using it for loading 100% saves into games, and I need to do that because I'm just testing. It's not because I need to lie. And RetroArch is an app that has a bunch of emulators built into it, ranging from NES to N64 and some PlayStation ones too. And that's just 4 apps that I listed. There's hundreds of homebrew apps that let you unlock the full potential of your Switch. And if you're interested in more cool ones, click the video in the top right. But on to the next topic.
Bang.
You know the safety precautions, you know what modding your Switch allows you to do, but how hard is it to actually mod a Switch? As someone who's done it a dozen times, my opinion might be irrelevant, but I think the hardest part in modding a Switch is getting everything you need. To mod a Switch, you need an RCM jig, a computer or Android device, a USB-C cable with data transfer, and a 128 gigabyte or larger micro SD card. Once you get those, modding a Switch is basically just dragging things onto your SD card. But now that I discussed the most important topics, let's go over some questions you guys asked me. Can I mod my patch Switch without a mod chip? First off, a patch Switch is a Switch that was made after Nintendo patched the exploit that allows you to mod it. But to answer your question, no, it is not possible to mod a patch Switch without a mod chip. Can I use the eShop if I mod the Switch? Yes, when you mod your Switch, you still have access to your stock Switch. Your stock Switch is your Switch not running custom firmware, and you can do everything you normally were able to do in there before you modded your Switch. Does updating games on a modded Switch ruin anything? It's completely completely safe to update games in your stock Switch, and once you do, they will also be updated in your sysnand. In your Emunand, you update games a different way, as you can't connect to Nintendo servers, so you would just get an error. Do you need the file transfer every time you power it off to get the modded system? If you're asking if you need to do the RCM jig process every time you turn off your Switch, then yes. Whenever you fully shut down your Switch, if you turn it back on, you will boot into your normal system. And one of the other questions, I called this your stock Switch. So to get back to custom firmware, you turn your Switch off and do the RCM process. What's the best storage size for games in Emunand? Your Emunand will take up 32 gigabytes, so I recommend at least 256 gigabytes. That's actually what I have in my Switch, and I have around 10 games downloaded right now and still have over 100 gigabytes left, so I think that's a nice sweet spot, especially if you don't want to spend a lot of money on a 512 or 1 terabyte SD card. Also, make sure you buy your SD card from a well-known brand. I see a lot of people in my Discord server who end up getting fake SD cards or just ones that aren't reliable, and it ends up corrupting your Emunand, so it's not worth the risk. What is the danger of damaging your Switch on a scale of 1 to 10? Because everything is on your SD card and not the Switch's internal memory, it's very, very, very unlikely that you end up bricking your Switch. I could tell you how to brick your 3DS right now, but for your Switch, I don't even know. I would have to look it up. The worst thing that can happen is you update your Switch before Atmosphere, which is the name of the custom firmware, releases an update that supports it, so you wouldn't be able to boot into custom firmware until that new Atmosphere version comes out. Can a modded Switch emulate operating systems? Not emulate, but you can install Linux and Android on a modded Switch. Am I gonna die? No, modding your Switch will not kill you. However, I hope you found this video helpful and it made you feel more confident about modding your Nintendo Switch. And if you enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more modding content. And when you're ready to mod your Switch, click this video guide. Bye.